This is an SM Media production. Hi folks, and welcome to episode 17 of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham 2023. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by from the Scottish Daily Mail, Calum McClurkin. Calum, how are we?
Yeah, all good. Exciting now, just next week. So it's kind of weather watch now, and hopefully all the horses make it from here on in to Cheltenham.
Absolutely, it's been a funny day. We're recording this on Friday morning. This is going to go out on Friday afternoon. We have had a change in the ground. It is now down as soft. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think like going into it, there was kind of rain dotted around in the long range weather forecast. It decided to water from a fair distance out, and the rain has come. So it's been steadily going from good to soft, now to soft. I don't expect it to change that much. I still think it's going to be fairly reasonable ground over the 4 days for them all to happen. I think Wednesday is penned down possibly as a dry day. I think there's the odd shower basically that's surrounding that. So it's probably preferential now for those that prefer the kind of softer conditions rather than the quick spring conditions. But I think it pretty much removes the element of the kind of good ground quick horses. So yeah, I think the Irish coming over that like to see some cut will be pretty pleased with what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the last show we are recording on the Road to Cheltenham. We did record yesterday our preview show. We're joined by Craig Forsyth from William Hill Radio and Mark MacKay. It was fun. It was really enjoyable. We got through a lot of chat, and I think we've ended up kind of coming down on a few horses that we maybe didn't at the start.
Yeah, no, it was certainly enjoyable. I did predict at the start that there'll be a lot of kind of different opinions because it's quite a competitive racing heat. I mean, there's not too many odds-on shots this year, and the way the markets have kind of moved about, it's kind of it shifted a lot of things, and there was kind of a lot of kind of wide-ranging different selections. I think everyone's got a kind of different bet for the Mayor's Hurdle, for instance. So and ground's still a bit of an unknown and all the declarations, but yeah, we certainly got through it well, and there were two great guests to have on.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be out on Sunday, and there will be obviously clips coming out on Sunday night as well. So just keep an eye on that. The full preview will be out on Sunday, and you will see clips of every race as well. So keep an eye on that. We did ask for a lot of questions. We're going to have a kind of bumper question segment in the show because this is the last show before the festival. The first one, apart from Constitution Hill, which horse getting defeated would surprise you the most?
It'd have to be Shishkin and Ryanair.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. I think bouncing. I don't think he will bounce. I think Nicky Henderson usually definitely gets his horses right come spring. I know it was a big run at Ascot Chase, and I think a simple replication of that will suffice here in the Ryanair. I think he's a lot more comfortable going up 2.5 miles, and I think he's miles better than these. Like Allaho was miles better than these. I think he's at least £10 clear. I don't really see many dangers. Possibly Envoy Arms in each wee angle if he bounces back to form. I think he can at least run into the mid 160s a little bit. But Shishkin is a mid 175 performer, and even anything that hits the 170s, I think will win this.
Yeah, I think if he's at his best, he'll win. My one would be after maybe confirming this morning would be probably Jerry Calum. I just think with it, there's big talk this morning that the Nevils are going to send the real whacker to the Gold Cup, which I think would be a mistake. I think they would be by far going for this, but I just don't see what beats Jerry Calum, to be honest, and that's kind of the one I'm coming down to. And I looked at my Ante-post book, you'll laugh at this, and I looked at what's my biggest loser, and it's by far Jerry Calum and Guy Abdou-Manil. They're pretty much in every multiple from October.
Yeah, well, I mean, this rain's probably a plus for both, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the elite horses will be in danger, and they're kind of looking. They'd be wanting decent ground, particularly Chemical Energy, I would think. So So yeah, as long as Gellard Emil gets home, emptied a little bit in the Irish national, but that he was carrying a big weight. You probably get away with it here, but sometimes amateurs can go a bit fast. But you'd still expect him to win with a class edge, and yeah, I think everything's coming right for Jerry Colombe as well, who I also really like. So yeah, I hope they both go in.
Yep, absolutely. Next question: who are your picks for top trainer and top jockey? I'm going to go for an outside trainer from Close Sutton by the name of Willie Mullins and potentially Paul Townend. That may be a surprise. Yeah, exactly. I don't see anything getting close to them, to be honest. Just the depth they've got. But I don't even. Is there any kind of each way? Is there any things you can do each way in this? Because it's not a market I really look at because I just assume it's going to be Mullins and Townend this year.
Not particularly. I mean, the trainer will definitely be Willie Mullins, but he does have a lot of depth. Maybe Danny Mullins could get involved. I do expect Nicky Henderson to have. He could have 3 or 4 winners. Nico de Boinville wouldn't be completely without a say. James Bowen's unavailable. And even the first kind of second string. Nico de Boinville really should be on the right. Henderson wins throughout. I think he's potentially a player. Harry Cobb, maybe. Rachel Blackmill's getting the odd freelance ride here and there, which is interesting. So yeah, Willie Mullins will most likely be pretty much nailed on to be top trainer. Gordon Elliott might have a good week. Could look at him. Yeah, I think Elliott might be second best, and I think Nico de Boinville might be second best jockey. But I think it's more likely to be an upset in the jockey ranks than the trainer ranks.
There is a bet on Sky Bet as well. Top jockey with betting without Paul Townend, you can get Danny Mullins at 3-1. I think that could be quite good as well. Again, it's depending what, because you would see Danny Mullins is going to get at least one winner because there's a race he'll take from the front, like in my opinion. So I would probably play that.
And it's no guarantee that Paul Townend will pick right all the time. The Triumph. I mean, you could arguably, put a blanket over the front 3. I mean, you could see any of them really winning. And Danny Mullins has struck up some decent partnerships. LAT Tom and Gala Marceau, Florin Port on the stairs for Gavin Cromwell. I think he's going to get the ride Princess Zoe and the Mayor's Novices Hurdle. She wouldn't be without a chance. So there's enough open races there for enough shocks to happen for some kind of upset in maybe the top jockey market.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question: what is your Pressbury Cup correct score? Do you give Britain any chance of winning it?
No. I think the best Britain can go for something like 18-10, I think, or something like that.
I am coming down. I think 20-8. I think because Britain do have chances. They do have chances. The favourites, realistically, Britain could win the first 4 races.
Yeah, I mean, I had Britain 4-3 up on the first day, and with Marie's Rock looking likely to stay Mayor's Hurdle route. And it brings Love Envoy into it with soft ground, so I mean, they've got a good chance there. They could definitely win the first 4. That might start going downhill from there, but I went 19-9, and I thought that might have been slightly generous, but I think it's a reasonable guess. I think that the handicap chases are important to Britain. I think they need to kind of make a decent dent into them, and I think they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question: what is the one takeaway from the preview night circuit?
Everyone banging on about Blood Destiny, I think. I was a bit surprised by that. You can get distracted from these kind of wee nuggets here, there, from your own kind of personal viewpoint, but there's not a lot of evidence to go on in the Triumph because Willie Mullins has pretty much got a stranglehold on it with 3 horses. Comfort Stone's got a chance, but he does have a good deal to find in the figures. I would, and you're kind of the juveniles and the bumpers. I do think it's a little bit more significant what the yard believe, and if there's a universal opinion, I think a lot of the form people will go with Grade 1 form of Callum Marceau and Lossiemouth, but I'm seeing ex-rider after rider and work rider going the Blood Destiny camp, and I find it quite interesting that the likes of like Barry Geraghty's and Ruby Walsh's and David Casey's and things like that, people that have kind of ridden and been around it go one way. in the form book kind of goes the other. So it's quite interesting to see how that's going to develop on the Friday. I mean, I think it's a hard race for a neutral to form an opinion on. So I think it might be one where you could follow the preview night or follow the form book. It's a really intriguing triumph.
Yeah, I think the one I would take away similar to the Imperi Pass. I think there's talk.
Yeah.
You heard. I don't know if you saw. Was it Mikey Fogarty? Maybe he's saying this horse he would rather ride this horse in Constitution Hill. Like they're really coming down in this horse, and I think we both think he's talented as well. I don't think I needed that to know that he's a good horse, but I think there's a lot of strong talk from the Mullins Yard that this could be certainly the best novice hurdler.
I do. He's definitely the best jumper. He's the slickest jumper, and with more hurdles in the Ballymore than the Supreme. Maybe that's what they're thinking. But I mean, given the way he won it, punches to the Moscow Flyer, they thought the Supreme, and that I think he'd. I mean, if 2-1 for a Ballymore, I think he'd be about 64 on a Supreme. If you switched him Facile Vega around, I'd be hammering him in the Supreme rather than I would be with Facile Vega, and I think maybe Facile Vega will find a bit more kind of time with stride in the Ballymore. So I mean, maybe a switch here would have done. But also 5-year-olds in the Ballymore don't have a great record. French background as well. It's a bit unusual. 5-year-olds are like 1 for 39 or something like that. I mean, you do need to be a proper superstar to win, a Ballymore as a 5-year-old tend to be. It's the body of work is more there with the Supreme that he's done it with. Classical Dream, Duvan, 5-year-olds, Voiture. I just thought he'd go there, and it looked like he would go there until he said that after the Moscow Flyer. But his maiden was further. You can see why they're doing it, but. Yeah, it's a good race though. You'd have to be pretty smart. I do like his mentality though. So yeah, he does have a favourites chance, but there are plenty of dangers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one more question, but I'm going to leave that to the end because we're going to sign off with it. We'll get together. We'll get a lucky 15 for the show to sign off on, and then we'll both back it. That's what we'll do. We'll move into a very short recap. Not many horses to mention. I don't think we'll be seeing many of these at Cheltenham, but these are certainly ones to keep an eye on for the future, I would say. The first one was on Friday at Newbury. A horse for Nicky Henderson in the JP Silks, under control, won a juvenile hurdle. Really, really impressive. What do you think of him going forward? Maybe see him at entry?
Yeah, he does have Cheltenham entries, but I would imagine that he'd be an entry type. It was a smooth performance on quick ground. I think he'll just go to entry.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think this is a horse for the future. Saturday at Kelso, Benson for Sandy Thompson won the Moor Battle Hurdle. Obviously, you've got the potential with the bonus. He has entered in the Coral Cup and the Martin Pipe. He's 16-1 for both. I thought he won this pretty well, actually. I was all over Colonel Mustard, and I thought he actually ran quite a decent race. Whether he goes to the County Hurdle, I'm not sure. But what do you think of Benson? Do you give him a chance in the Coral Martin Pipe?
Not really. I think the turnaround's going to be pretty difficult, and I think he kind of came late and nabbed them. Kelso, it's a deceiving home straight. It's hard to get home, as Harry Skelton found out in Lee loss later on. If you kick too soon, you're vulnerable to a closer. That's what happened here. Kirill Mustard travelling it well. Just extra 2 furlongs caught him out a little bit. Couldn't get home. He suffered an overreach, so I think he's going to miss Cheltenham by the sounds of it. And Benson, you've got to go for 100 grand bonus, definitely entitled to. And I think the Coral Cup would certainly be the right race for him. I think there's better unexposed horses in it, and the turnaround in time is going to be pretty difficult because that was a good effort to dig that out.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Saturday in Newbury, we did see a potential nice horse for the future. See You in My Dreams for Paul Nicholls, a 235,000 buy. She looks really good. She won't go to Cheltenham. I am quite interested if the Mullins team don't run fun. You could have fun against See You in My Dreams at that Mayor's Bumper at entry, and that could be a really good race.
It usually is a good race, good prize money on offer, and yeah, she's definitely a player. Wouldn't really associate Paul Nicholls with a lot of mares now these days, and be interested to see where her future lies, but yeah, it's very promising, and I'm sure he'll take his time with her and take that mare's route at Aintree and then put her away for the summer.
Yep, absolutely. Sunday in Leopardstown, I think a really good horse for the Morans. The Yellow Clay, I think this is definitely a horse to keep in the right side of for next year.
Yeah, I think a bit American Nightlight. Yeah, I do think there's a lot of potential there. Did it impressively. Yeah, there's lots to like. Another one for Elliot that could be an exciting horse next season. He's rebuilding quite well. I think, after the kind of setback of what happened,
Yeah,
losing a few owners, the ones that have stuck by him, he's sourcing out horses pretty well. He's beginning to kind of re-establish himself in future graded races, and I think that horse is certainly a future graded horse.
yep, absolutely. Tuesday in Sandown, Authorised Speed, a horse that we've kind of followed from last year, obviously ran well in the bumper last year, won quite impressively again, entered in the Ballymore, but chat for the Moors is this horse is going to Aintree, but he's got something. There's talent there.
Yeah, is he turning into a bit Goshen-like? I don't know. Is there kind of some sort of chink in some of these kind of high-class Moor horses? They're really high-class in their day. Sometimes he can throw in an absolute shocker here and there. He seems to be another one that's very talented in his day and can win whatever he kind of likes when on song. The ground would have been just about against him as well that day. So yeah, waiting for Aintree, I think seems a pretty sensible option.
Yep, absolutely. And we will move into what's coming up this weekend. There is a busy weekend, weather permitting, of course. It's the Imperial Cup weekend at Sandown. It's always you always like to maybe have a wee play in this, and it maybe gives you some extra money for the festival upcoming. Imperial. Let's start with the first race. Actually, there's 4 kind of races I want to touch on at Sandown. The first one is the novice handicap hurdle. Again, this is quite an interesting race. It is looking that potentially we might, weather permitting, that it might go ahead, it might not. But there's a horse from Nigel Twiston-Davies I really, really like here, and it's Cuthbert Dibble at 5-1. Brilliant name. I don't know if you heard Johnny Deneen pronouncing it. That was probably one of the funniest things I've seen in the kind of Cheltenham circuit recently. I like Cuthbert Dibble in that, but I also quite like Twin Power for Paul Nicholls and Adrian Heskin for the Gemmels at 14-1. I think they would be my 2 plays here. Are you heading for this race?
Yeah, I quite like War Soldier at an outsider for Sandy Thompson. I think his form in Newcastle was pretty good. Bombed out last time. But Thompson horses, they came back to form around Kelso, so I mean, obviously can map one out. I think a rating of 1-2-2 isn't too bad. And Ryan Mania coming down as well to ride. I would just have a pop at him at 33s. That would do for me. At the top of the market, I like Crambo for Fergal O'Brien. I think at the top of the market, he would be the most interesting for me. But yeah, I quite like War Soldier at a big price.
Yep. We'll move into the Imperial Cup. Playful Saint, 6-1 favourite for the Skeltons. Juvega for the Moors at 8-1. Safani Bay, Isio, Monville, Metier. I really like Juvega for this.
Okay, yeah, I quite like Playful Saint.
Okay.
Has form that ties in with Love Envoy, who's Grade 1 class, needs bottomless grounds, going to get that here. I think if it was bottomless at County Hurdle, I think he would go really close. I think he's that good, very unexposed, and I would be disappointed if he didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Again, we're kind of sharing at the top of the market. Playful Saint has a good chance as well. Juvega, I like off 1-3-3. I think the ground will be potentially where you'll see him at his best. He's wanted his performance in soft ground at Linfield in November was probably one of. I really thought he maybe could have been a Cheltenham player after that, but he just never really at home after that. He was poor at Fontwell. He won at Fontwell, but it wasn't really that good that day. And he's been hard to really place, but he's unbeaten in 3 starts this season, so I would keep an eye on him at 8-1. I think he's a good bet as well. Mayor's Bumper at 3:00 at Sandown. Casa Nomento for Sam Twiston-Davies at 10-3. Harry Fry's got Good Time Crew. Larchmont Last for Paul Nicholls at 11-2. 8-1. Don't You Want Me for Fergal O'Brien. 9-1 Bar. What do you like here?
I mean, on ratings, Casa Memento should win this. Well, on what they've achieved, you don't really know what potential others have in behind. So I think the late market moves will probably be quite significant here, and their ability to hold the ground. At the moment, I'd stick with Casa Memento, but I think the market is probably going to be pretty significant where people are going to go.
Yeah, I think Casanamento as well. Nothing. The Kim Bailey horse, Saint Bibiana at 9-1. I think could be a wee play as well. 3:35. The novices handicap chase, obviously formerly run at Cheltenham, known as the Close Brothers. Before we get into this race, I think that they should still. I think this horse would be. This race would be able to place at the festival. I think this was a mistake getting rid of this.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It was a good kind of betting race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I suppose Sandown, they need kind of something that's been moved now to before rather than after. So then you've got the Midlands National on Saturday, so it does need its own kind of little event to kind of stand out. They've got the Imperial Cup, and they've also got this.
Yep. We'll move into the betting. Easy as that. At kind of 3-2, 6-4 for Venetia Williams. No Risk to Flow, 10-3 for Ollie Murphy. Lac de Constance, 5-1 for the Skeltons. Hudson de Grugia, 8-1 and 11-1 Bar. Favourite's probably the most likely winner.
Yeah, I think Easy as that will win. Soft ground Venetia Williams horse. There's plenty to like. Progressive profile. Won really well at Newcastle last time, I thought, and at Haydock, which is what you'd probably associate with soft ground anyway. Ollie Murphy's horse is good, has a chance, gets £3. I can see that running well, but and it'll probably be second. I think it's hard to look away from the top two here.
Yeah, I think that as well. I think it's hard to see past a favourite. Before we get into Sunday, I want to touch on a race. I didn't tell you this until we've just come on, but the best race of the year for Cheltenham Clues, in my opinion, is run on Saturday, and it is the famous Docks Bumper at Gowden Park. It's produced the likes of Bob Ollinger in the past for me. There is a horse that really catches my eye here. I don't know if you've seen this. There is a horse that Cheveley Park have in it called Tully Hill, who won a point-to-point for William Mullins. He's been declared, and that could be an interesting race. Always like looking at that race for the festival in mind next year.
Yeah, it looks pretty deep. Paul Nolan's got a decent horse in it. Gavin Cromwell probably does as well. So yeah, will do as well for. I mean, will do's kind of been around the block a little bit trying to share his maiden tag, but he's running to a reasonable level. But yeah, the Willie Mullins horse and the connections, winning a point, albeit by a neck, but yeah, you'd expect a big kind of future from him in the line. So he's definitely one to monitor.
Yep, absolutely. Sunday in Naas, we have the Leinster National. Again, just we're not looking at this as kind of Cheltenham Clues, but is there anything in that race that you quite like? Because I'm just looking, Milan natives in there off 1-3-4. I don't really like anything else, to be honest.
I quite like Espirito Bello. I'm quite a big fan of his. He's running into a little bit of form. I think 140 is a manageable mark. He's just not quite he didn't quite get home at Gowran. Didn't quite get into it in a decent race. 3 mile one. Coming back and trip a little bit might help. I just think he can hit the frame. He's been potting about midfield, but he has been threatening. And with these kind of big Irish national races, regional nationals, they kind of chop and change, and one gets a chance, and then the other one does. And I think that might just be his day. It'll give Barry Connell and Michael Sullivan a wee boost, hopefully, before they go to Cheltenham.
Yep, absolutely. We do have some news as well before we get into our anti-post selections. Just some news that's coming through in the past hour or so. I don't know if you've looked at the exchanges in the past hour, but there seems to be a massive move on Gaelic Warrior for the Supreme.
That might be ground related.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Willie Mullins keeps his options open until so late. So this ground change, it's been a bit more drastic than people anticipated. Yeah, he can go wherever he wants. I won't be backing.
I'd rather back him for the Supreme than the Ballymoth or some good. I don't think it's a deep Supreme. If he was to
I'd rather back him in a right-handed track, to be honest.
I wouldn't even back him in a right-handed track. Like,
I would. I would. I don't. I mean, I do think he does have serious ability. I think maybe shuffling, if he does go supreme, is that not good news for Facile Vega?
mhm.
You'd that thought would have to cross your mind. But yeah, I would think it might be just a bit more suitable for him on the ground. They may be seeing soft. They may like that the first day. Might be a bit dry on the second day if they don't think there'll be rain. And they might think, yeah, he can win over 2 miles, soft ground. That might help straighten him out. He's jumping. That might be a plus. It's French bred. He'll like that more. That all of a sudden becomes slightly more suitable race for him. So yeah, if he jumps straight, like I think he's got a massive chance wherever he goes. It's just such a big if. And that's the issue there. And yeah, he's more likely to be kind of, it could be an Astarian Forlonge Mark II job in the Supreme, isn't it? If he jumps as right as he does, depends what position he gets. You don't want to be outside of him, that's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Interesting. Today is actually JP McManus's 71st birthday. And I think he might have got a birthday present of epic proportions, because did you know that they were appealing So Scottish's rating?
No, I didn't know that. I was just, what horse is he going to buy today to celebrate?
They've appealed the mark of So Scottish. He's been dropped a pound to 142.
Oh, big whoop.
Do you remember the last time that happened though?
Well, damn the company did, but
Damn
it
the
was a lot
company.
more than a lot more than a pound. But yeah, they'd be splitting hairs, isn't it, over a pound? But yeah, I mean, it just kind of reveals, like it did with Damn the Company, it does reveal that this has been the plan for some time. So the fact that they've bothered appealing it, no matter the outcome, is probably a plus if you're on the side of So Scottish.
What appeals to me more as well in this race is if Michael O'Sullivan goes on board and gets the £5, I think it could be a banker for me if that's the case.
He will. I mean, it's like the shunter when John Gainford claims 7. And yeah, claimers are still claimers. Not even British handicappers can change that fact. That's what it's going to be like. It's one of the best £5 claimers around, isn't he?
Yeah.
You're not even bothered if you're on like Marine National or Goodland in a graded race with him and Boulder. I don't think it's lack of Cheltenham experience. Yeah, that might be a slight issue, but come the plate on Thursday, he's going to get. I mean, there's obviously going to be like he's going to pick up rides here, left, right, and centre as well. He's too good not to be. So yeah, he's a good rider, and he's definitely more than worth his £5 claim. He wouldn't be a £5 claim for too much longer.
Absolutely. This actually broke yesterday while we were recording our preview show. Adamantly chosen supplemental for Brown Advisory. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I don't think he'll affect wherever he goes, but in these contests, but it might be a pointer for Sir Gerhard to go to the turners now. It might not be, but again, it's just Willie Mullins leaving his options open. But I don't think Jerry Colombo will be losing too much sleep over adamantly chosen just being supplemented for this.
Yep. Tom Palin, the racing manager for the owners of Marie's Rock, put out an interview yesterday saying that it is likely if the ground is soft, they will stay for the Mayor's Hurdle. I think she's more likely now to go in the Mayor's Hurdle. Really wanted her to run in the stairs, but just with the way the ground's changing, she's getting backed into favouritism for it. I think that's very telling that she's going to stay for the Mayor's Hurdle.
Yeah, it looks like it. It certainly does now. The exchanges have been positive word for her. Yeah, and she has an obvious outstanding chance wherever she goes. I mean, the stairs, she is a bit fresh. She can kind of pull a little bit early doors, and that might be a bit of a worry, particularly in softer conditions in the stairs hurdle that looks a bit deeper than it was. And there's one big container there that would like it soft. So yeah, I would probably, it's probably wise to stick with the Mayor's Hurdle at this stage.
Yeah, just a couple of wee notes as well. Derek O'Connor is booked to ride Angel's Dawn in the Kim Muir, and also they're just obviously the weather's been a big thing. Blazing Cal, again, we don't know much about. He has been kind of in the declarations for the Stairs Hurdle, and it's keen. Blazing Cal, obviously, do you believe the Charles Burns hype that this horse isn't great, or do you think it's just Charles Burns being Charles Burns?
he's definitely got a cut. You know, I mean, there's no kind of doubt about that, and the pictures are there to show it. So. Yeah, no, he's good at mapping a horse out, but I wouldn't not believe him when he says that his horse isn't quite right. They're showing the cut that's there. I mean, you can't mask it. So yeah, he could recover it. It depends how superficial it is. If it's that much of a problem, or they can get it out. And I mean, the exchanges are obviously not going to put him out massively because he's still in the field and he still has a big chance if he's there in form. So yeah, it's one of those you just have to really wait and see. But yeah, I believe him about the setback because there's the evidence is there. It is there to see, but it depends how serious it is.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into our final section, the Ante post selections. We'll look at our Ante post selections going up on the screen just now. Again, this is the final kind of review before we get into it. If I was to ask you out of 10 your book, what would it be?
Oh, probably a 6, 6 or 7. No, 6. Yeah, it's fine. I'm happier with the handicaps at the moment, to be honest. And I've found them when that's easier than looking at graded races for a few months. I think that kind of sums up kind of where the value's at. It's a pretty established market for the graded contest. I think most bases are reasonably well covered. Couple have gone by the wayside. Couple have shortened quite well. Most of them are still there. So, and most of them are going for the right race for once, which is quite a shock. So yeah, I'm happy enough with it.
Yep, I'm quite happy with mine as well. I'd give mine maybe a 6.5. I like obviously Jerry Colom's in a good went into a good price. Lossiemouth as well. The horse is relatively short. A couple I want to forget. Jet Powered, I regret. That's one of the biggest bugbearers I've had in my season so far. Jet Powered and obviously Eric Bloodaxe. Very little could be done about that. If I was to captain, give us your captain. What's the one on your list you like the most?
In terms of outshortened, probably Corrick Rambler and Ultima. The manner that it's going in. So yeah, probably him at a decent price. Takao as well. I would say he'd be the vice captain.
Yeah, I think I would have Jerry Colomb as captain and potentially Lossiemouth as vice captain. But again, it's going to be really interesting. We've got 2 more to add. These are our final picks before the festival. Let's get 2 winners on the board. I'll let you go first. Give us your first pick.
It's 16-1 the Coral Cup, and it's San Salvador of Joseph O'Brien's. Don't think he's got much this year in terms of it. I mean, he's cut his horses jumping wise significantly, but in this horse for a handicap, the Coral Cup looks interesting. 7-year-old, which is in the correct age bracket. I did like how he won at Punchestown and nipped away 2 out. And almost got collared by a stare, but he plodded on quite well. He was always holding on. Decent hike into 138. It's fairly certain that he's going to go here instead of the Martin Pike. They want to keep the partnership with UG Slevin. I just do like a progressive horse that's coming in here. It's got a bit of boot. It can quicken and maintain that gallop. So I like him at a reasonable price, 16-1, where I think the market principles here have been a bit overbet. I know Campron looks to be an exaggerated plot shown and backed into like 6-1 stuff is a bit crazy. HMSC horse, he's been given an £11 hike. 5-year-olds, he wouldn't associate with Coral Cup. Bit difficult to win. Run for Oscar. I think he's one of the more exposed Charles Burns horses over handicaps.
Yeah.
I don't particularly fear him. So I think it's worth looking at the second rung of this Coral Cup market. And San Salvador was the one that I came at a reasonably each way price at 16-1.
Yeah, brilliant. Good start. I will go for a horse in the county hurdle. And it obviously depends if he's going to go. He's entered in the Supreme. Hunter's Yarn of Willie Mullins at 9-1. I've been very impressed with this horse all season. I think if he can get in, he's going to get into the county hurdle. It's just whether he goes here. I think he's a really, really interesting. I think he's the state man of this year. Maybe not as well handicapped, but I think he's the Mullins horse who could be potentially one for the future. I think at 9-1. I don't think Philly Bay's I liked him for the Betfair hurdle. I don't particularly like him for this. I think 147 for Hunter's Yarn's fairly fine, and I'm quite happy to go with them at 10-1.
Yeah, with the way they're going to split up, it depends if Dark Raven comes into the equation and Perry Pass is going there. He might stick him in the Supreme. I did get that vibe that's what we're probably going to do. I'm not convinced by his jumping. I'm not sure that it's ready yet. And I think that's probably why they're mindful of maybe pushing him to the Supreme, just to kind of keep him in novice company a little bit, because I think he's jumping in a bigger field might be a bit of a worry. He looks rotty, maybe he does have enormous potential, and if he does come on as much as people expect, then yeah, he is a player wherever he goes. I've seen people liking him for the Supreme a little bit. He's
I would back him for the Supreme as well, to be fair.
Yeah, he's kind of a sleeper like Divers, and it's one of those Supremes where you would be inclined to take a chance with something at a price. Yeah, he's talented. He's just a little bit. I think it might be all coming a little bit too soon for him. Yeah, we'll wait and see. He has a chance if he fulfills his potential quicker than I think he does.
Yeah, the thing that the reason I'm kind of going for him in this is that Sharge is definitely running by the sounds of it, but you would be amazed if it wasn't Patrick Mullins that would ride him. So I'm just wondering if Townend will probably want to ride in it. I think they will probably go with him. Eli de Tomp's not going here. There's nothing really else Mullins standing out. They've got Winter Foggy, Caroline. I would probably say they'll probably go with Hunter's Yarn here. But yeah, I mean, it's a shot in the dark. It's always like a Willie Mullins horse in this race, particularly a novice. So I'm going to tip up Hunter's Yarn at 10-1. Give us your second and final pick for the Road to Cheltenham.
It's in the champion bumper, and it's Western Diego. He's
out
to 14s. I quite liked how he did it at Naas. It's over further. He did it really stylishly. He beat a horse that It's For Me beaten, and It's For Me beat him a little bit further, but I don't think it was the same kind of runner-up run that he had. I mean, this is a bumper that's full of unknowns, and Chapeau du Soleil might get balloted out still. He's still a reasonable price. I expect him to come on significantly. He's the kind of yarded horse, talking horse at the time, but just in visual impression, with the way the rain's going as well, he's probably going to get some element of cutting the ground. And we do like stamina-based horses, and I think he's similar. He's similar to Factifile. His chance is quite similar, I think, in the way they go about his business. So yeah, I quite like him at a bit of a price. So he's another great wee shot at that. I liked how he did it in Ace. Looked very uncomplicated, straightforward. They are trying to. I think Patrick Mullins did mention that they might try and hood him, which has seen them. Maybe it isn't as straightforward as, but he looks straightforward enough at Naas to me. But maybe they're kind of worried slightly about his temperament that he might boil over a little bit. I wouldn't be that concerned by that. It's something that you won't know until the day with quite a lot of these bumper horses. So once the market kind of saw that kind of wee nugget of information, they pushed them out a little bit more. I don't think they should be pushing out horses in this race such open for a bit of trivial information like that, to be honest. So I'd have a dart at him now that he's going out from 12s to 14s.
Brilliant. My final pick is going to be in the Ultima Handicap Chase, and please don't laugh, but remember last time I tipped this horse up, you laugh, but the big breakaway at 18-1 for the Ultima Handicap Chase. The softer the ground, the better his chances, and I think this is the best the Tizards have had him since the time he won at Cheltenham as a novice chaser. He's just been getting there. I mean, Welsh National, he was so unlucky not to win. He's just been gradually getting better, and I just think in soft ground, he's run up against some good horses. Belfontaine Cologne, obviously, Haydock the second last time, and then he was so unlucky against the Two Amigos. His jumping's obviously a concern, but this sort of race, this sort of ground, Brendan Powell's going to be on board. I really like him for this race now. I'm coming round to the fact that I think he's the best each way player day one for me, and at 16-1, I think he's fine.
Yeah, that price, yeah. In a race like this, I mean, that's why I came back to Corrick Ramble. I mean, I didn't really see much here that improved it last time around. I would have him over Oscar Elite. The big breakaway, I would think. I mean, if the stamina, I thought Oscar Elite's stamina kind of went dry a little bit towards the end of that. I think he's kind of just about a kind of borderline 3-miler. Big breakaway, will keep galloping, going from the front. We've seen horses win from the front on a regular basis in this. Vintage Clouds was one. You can get loose and just maintain the gallop and the soft ground. It's going to be harder and harder to pass. It's traditionally hard to get past here. Probably a bit negative for Corrick Rambler, I would think. The big breakaway, he'd be reasonable. He'd have a reasonable chance because the Welsh national dress is better, and his jumping is good if he gets into rhythm. It's big and bold, but it will put a lot of people under pressure, and he does handle the track. I think there's a lot worse bets than that.
Yep, and Harry Cobden seems to be going towards the Oscar Elite route, so that says to me that Brendan Powell's going to ride him, which I would be quite happy with as well. I know this isn't an anti-post selection, but I have backed a double just before we come on here. 17-1 in the Thursday. So Scottish in the Magnus Plate and shoot first in the attempts. I think that's my double for the week.
It's a reasonable double. I'd probably have to Calum the Boodles and shoot first in the attempts as a handicap double if I was having one, but I'm still kind of in the process of finalising all that stuff. But it's getting to that time where you'll get kind of wee quick kind of multis and see what you kind of like and perm them up suitably. But there's a lot of short ones in the handicaps that I think will go well this year, which is fraught with danger perhaps. But I mean it's just now. It's just wanting it to start. It's just you're kind of waiting for it now and anticipating it. And on ground watch constantly. Yeah,
that's it. One more day of work for me, then I'm off for the whole week, so I'm looking forward to that. And you are going to be in a sunnier climate than the snow that I'm looking at just now.
In a much warmer climate, I would say. I'm jetting off to Lanzarote for it. The first holiday I've had post-COVID, really. So looking forward to that separately. Even outside Cheltenham. So first time be drinking in abroad. For the festival, so I'll be looking to kind of get everything sorted betting wise before going out, which is fraught with its own danger as well, given the changeable weather. But I mean, it's a risk I'll have to take, and then I'll happily take it. Win or lose, I'll definitely enjoy it regardless.
We have a final lucky 15 that we're going to have for the festival. 2 picks each. Again, are we going with 2 bankers? Are we going with each way plays? What do you think? One banker, one each way play, maybe.
Yeah, one each way play and one banker. Yes, I think so. I think that's the best way.
You go first.
Mares Novices Hurdle, Magical Zoe, 10-1. I do like her a lot. Chipped to 8-10s for a long time. She's stayed there. I think Lucia, massive potential, but could blow out. So, Magical Zoe, Henry de Bromhead for the fairy tale story there.
Brilliant. I'm going to go for in the champion bumper at 8-1. Fact to File. I just think this horse is going to be better, bigger field. I think he's going to reverse the form with a Dream to Share. I just think I can see Patrick Mullins riding this horse for some reason. I just have it in my head that this is the horse he's going to pick. I think Daryl Jacob will go for it. For me, I think Fact to File was actually the best Willie Mullins bumper horse this season. I think he's the best long-term prospect. I think Fact to File at 8-1. And he's a good each way price as well, so he's fine for this.
Yeah, I like that. Boodles Juvenile Handicap to Cal at 4s. I think he's a different league to these. I think he'd be well worth his place in the Triumph. I think he'd comfortably be 4th, pressing on 3rd in that. He travelled round the bend with Gallimar, so like a really classy horse. Little Grade 1 type, the way he quickened them at Walsh, just realised that, this is meant to be the Boodles horse, and stopped, basically. 135, bit excessive. There's some decent rivals emerging in behind, but I think he's a 145 type horse down the line. He's at least Grade 2 class. I think he's get about £10 a hand. That should be enough.
Yep, and I'm going to close it out with one that we absolutely agree on, and I think we'll be happy with this selection. Shoot first in the attempts.
Yeah, I didn't put him in because I thought you might. So I do. Like him. Charles Burns is he did say in one of the previews that he's kind of blazing Cal type 2, and the way he won that pair Tom, I don't see anything. As I said on the day, I don't see anything turning that form around even in better terms. Botox has came out, won a Grade 2 subsequently. And he's going to handicap maybe out of the equation a little bit, but it does show the strength of the form, and he won with a ton in hand. And the fact that he did it in England means he can't be reassessed for another penalty on top of that. So yeah, he has leading claims, and what is a good race in behind. There are a couple that are dangerous. I like the Boss's Oscar, for instance. A lot of people like Walking in Air, but there's a point two that you'd be a bit worried about. A couple of GP horses as well will no doubt be in the equation, but yeah, I do think Shoot First has got a bundle and he's potentially a Stayers hurdle horse next year down the line.
And we are going to wrap up the show there. It has been an absolute pleasure, Calum, from October to now, looking back in the festival. We're going to do one wee review show the week after we've recovered. You've returned with a far better tan than I'll have this week, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Calum. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you're brilliant. I'll look forward to the review, and hopefully we've got some winners between us at least.
Hopefully so, yeah. Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please, as well, our preview show on Sunday, 5 o'clock. It's going to be up on the channel, so please stay tuned for that. And have a good Cheltenham, everybody, and enjoy. Please gamble responsibly, but try and find some winners as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Cheers.